Okay, two things. First of all, if you're concerned about the fact that I'm not wearing glasses this time around, I'll have you know, as someone who plays games often, wearing glasses while you play them sucks. Therefore, it would be wrong if I were to wear glasses in this video about video games, because it sucks. Second of all, I'm back. Second of all, the audio still isn't my favorite, but I did get something slightly better, so you're gonna have to deal with me on that bit. Anyway, welcome back to my channel. My name is Erin, and it's great to see you again. Welcome back to my humble abode. Today, we're talking about my favorite Zelda game, Twilight Princess. To start off, let's give a little background on my situation here. So, I haven't played this game for like 7, 8 years. Our Wii broke at about that time, and we never got it fixed, and there went everything, every single Wii game that we had, including this one. So I haven't played this game for a long time. For the past couple of years, I've been contemplating finding a way to replay this game. Every time somebody asked me, oh, what's your favorite Zelda game? What do you love about Zelda games? I always thought about this game, even though it was so far back in my memory as a child. I always thought about Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. Recently, we bought a refurbished Wii, bought this game again, and so I got some nasty controllers, and I decided to replay Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess for the first time as an adult. First time I played this game, I was an elementary school child, and then I never really played it again. Like, I played bits of it. I replayed the final battle because it was like my favorite thing ever, but I didn't replay the whole game since that moment. So this was the first time I'd really got a taste of this game for years. Is Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess worth it? Should I go and buy a refurbished Wii? Should I borrow this game from somebody to replay it? Short answer, I would say yes. If you really did enjoy it that much as a kid and you really wanted to rediscover that for yourself, I would say yes. I'm going to give a couple of reasons of that as we go on. But first off, I'm going to start with things that did not surprise me. This is still my favorite Link. He's cute as frick. I love this version of Link. I love our little farm boy here. Minna is still my favorite companion that you ever have. Yeto and Yeto are still awesome. That's literally probably like one of my favorite parts of the whole freaking game is when you go over there and you get your butt whooped and you get confused as frick at her terrible directions and watch him pushing you over as he makes soup. The Twilight Realm still gives me a lot of anxiety. And the final battle with Ganondorf was just as fun as I remember it being, brought back a lot of memories. What did surprise me? First of all, this is the first game that I played in full back on the refurbished Wii that we received. There were some other little games here and there, but there wasn't anything particularly long term. So this was the first one. And here's the first thing I have to say. This kind of sucks. I can't tell you how many times I died within the tutorial alone because I legitimately just like could not deal with these controls. Like the motion stuff like kind of sucks. Like it was nice at the time. I remember as a kid going and hitting and smashing and whacking things and throwing this on accident. I remember having a lot of fun. I remember thinking this was awesome. Nowadays, this kind of sucks. I really did not enjoy, this again. First thing, this sucks. Second thing, there are actually a lot of hidden things that I did not find as a kid. There were a lot of hidden tunnels scattered around the map that I had never found, as a kid. I guess I was just super absent-minded and didn't find them, but hey, there they are. Next, I felt like an absolute idiot half the time. I don't know how much you guys remember. There's the puzzle with the two statue guys horizontal from each other, and you have to make them so they stand in the same spot again. That literally took me like 30 minutes, and I felt like an absolute idiot. So that didn't like, it helped, but it also didn't help. Like, I'm glad that it challenged me, but at the same time, I constantly asked myself if my 7-year-old or whatever year old self was just so much smarter than I was back then, or if it took me that long. I don't know. Some of the puzzles in here just I literally felt like I had no IQ. But also on the same note as well, when I was playing and I did remember, it was also kind of disappointing. I know that kind of sounds contradicting to what I just said before, but the thing with Zelda games, especially these ones, I guess I should call them traditionally made Zelda games, they're not necessarily about the enemies, the difficulty of battle, anything of that. All these games are puzzles. So if you remember the puzzle, it's not particularly difficult to blow past this whole game. There were a couple dungeons that made me question my life choices. I was very surprised when one of those places was a city in the sky. I did not expect how much I did not enjoy that temple. But I feel like I did when I was a kid, so whatever. But the biggest thing that kind of got me on Whiplash was simply seeing the tone of this game in a much clearer lens. This game is actually a lot darker and more terrifying than I remember. I remember being quite angry at the people that would suggest that, oh, Twilight Princess isn't as good of a game because it's so ugly. It's just not as cute as Skyward Sword. The music isn't as good and the tone is so dark. I remember not understanding that. Replaying this game, though, the amount of times where I literally sat there and my brain just went, ooh, that's dark, surprised me. First thing I think of was a Zora Queen that was dragged down and executed in front of her very own subjects. The second thing is literally Zant walking in and just killing Zelda's guards as he walks in so that she gives up the throne. Ganondorf straight up murders one of the sages in the flashback. The freaking creepy vision that Link gets when he's explained about the Triforce and the few shadows. Some of the stuff in here I did not realize it as a kid, or creepy as bah. I now understand the argument for how dark Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess is in comparison to some of its other games. But at least on the comforting side, this Link is 17, so at least he's older. Moving on to what I think is really the most worth it about replaying this game. Regardless of this, if you are playing the original game, I've never played the remastered, maybe the remastered's different. Regardless of everything else that I have said that might be exactly the same or different than you remember, I would say this game is completely replayable just based on the relationship between Link and Midna. One thing that I thought about a lot during this game as I was playing it is just how prominent the theme of loneliness is in the Zelda franchise. I don't mean in the sense of like, oh, everybody is lonely, but the fact that Link himself usually does this all by himself. Case in point, we got Breath of the Wild. That dude literally walks all by himself all the time, unless you have the amiibo that lets you have Wolfie follow him around. Skyward Sword, nobody's there with you either. If I remember correctly, the headmaster even tells Link, don't tell anyone about your quest because that might freak everybody out. In Ocarina of Time, nobody really knows what you're doing. You're all by yourself. You're basically like 8, 7 years old. Like Link is a literal child and he's doing this all by himself the whole time. Even when he is adult, he doesn't really necessarily have friends. Like he has people that helps him, but they don't necessarily like join him on the quest and stay with him for very long. Same thing with Majora's Mask. Nobody stays with Link for any amount of time for him to actually get attached to them. My point stands that there seems to be an underlying tone of loneliness when it comes to Link and his adventures. So why is Link and Minna's relationship so interesting? Okay, let's stop right there for a second. I forgot to mention something that is fairly important to my argument here about why this relationship is so important to the game, especially when we're talking about loneliness here. The reason why I bring up loneliness and why it's so prominent, especially in this line of games, and why it's important in this case in particular, is because there's nobody else in this game for us to get attached to. Other than Link, we don't have any other character that we're really attached to in a lot of these other games. So when it comes to your side characters, when it comes to your companion, if the companion isn't someone that we really like, isn't someone that progresses with you, we tend to not really like those characters very much. There's a reason why Fee is hated as much as she is, or disliked, I guess I should say in a better term, where maybe Midna is praised more, or some of the other side characters, it is because these characters are so close to the protagonist out of everybody else in the whole game, because there's nobody else that comes close at all to him that's just so important. Midna, by extension, becomes a protagonist because of her closeness to Link and the disconnection between literally everybody else in the world. It's because of this loneliness that really makes Link and Minna's relationship shine as bright as it does. Midna has quite a following. Minna is a very popular character, even for people that only play this game like once or twice and they don't love Twilight Princess. They love Midna. So why is that? People love Midna because of how she grows in the companion that she is to Link throughout this game. For a brief overview of the first part of the game, if we were to explain the loneliness that kind of goes on here, um, Link is obviously an orphan. Like every other game, Link is an orphan. At least he has a village that cares about him. There are kids that look up to him. He has a man that's practically raised him, Russell. People that really seem to like Link. But it's when his adventure starts that he becomes separated from all of that. It starts when he turns into Wolfie for the first time. And not only is he separated from them, but he can't necessarily return to them. The first person who helps him in his very lonely journey happens to be Midnight. Even if at the time she isn't nice, like at all, to him. She basically blackmails him through like the first half of the whole game to get the few shadows back. Um, at least she's there. But all that changes after the third dungeon, which is the Lake Hylia temple. As Link gets up out of the lake, and Midna comes with him, obviously. She has all the few shadows. They're in the spring, with the light spirit, Zant comes around. And as we all know, what happens here is Zant knocks both Link and Midna to the side, seals the few shadows, injures Midna in the process, and leaves. Up to this point, we have experienced two different types of goals from both of our protagonists. On one hand, we have Link. Link, and all he wants to do, this poor farm boy, she makes him walk around to go and get all of the few shadows under the pretense of, oh, if you go do this, I'll go and help you get your friends back. I'll help you restore her memory. All he wants to do is to go back and get these kids, get them home, and return home to his village. That's it. Minna, on the other hand, all she wants is to grab the few shadows, go back, defeat Zant, restore her people. That's it. Very closed boxed perspectives, goals, no crisscross in between. For the first half of the game, Minna isn't really a very comforting companion at all. Like, if anything, it's a sort of stab in the back. Here's Link, no family, no friends, nobody to help him. Zelda can't help him either, and here he's stuck with this chick named Midna, this annoying imp who sits on his back and makes him run around and do all of these fetch quests just so that he can save these kids from his village so that he can go back and, I assume, take a fat nap. Benefits only relationship here. But it is at this point, at the end of the third temple of Lake Hylia, where I believe everything changes. At this point, it's not just the fact that Link is going along with Midna so that he can save some kids and go home, or that Midna is just dragging Link around so that he can defeat things, she can get the few shadows so she can go home later. At this point, it's no longer just about them. It's no longer about just the kids. It's no longer just about the Twilight Realm. I believe is at this point where both Link and Midna realize that what's happening in Hyrule encompasses more than these desires that they both have. That they can't just walk around with each other anymore. They can't just put up with each other anymore. They have to go and work together so that they can save both kings respectively and everybody that they want to. And this right here is also where I believe you can see the relationship changing in the dialogue that's going on in the game. That's not to say that Minna wasn't kind of warming up to you as you were getting some of the few shadows. And that's why I think the ending scene of this game as well is what makes it all the worth it. As you watch Minna and Link's relationship progress through the game. And when it's all over, Minna leaves. I think it really, really works for this game and this relationship in particular. We all know that final moment. When Link and Zelda are standing there, Ganondorf is defeated, they're back in Arbiter's grounds, and the mirror is sat right behind them. And Minna standing in front of them. Minna is saying farewell. You can kind of see on the faces of Zelda and Link that this doesn't feel like the last goodbye to them. More of just like a temporary adieu, so to say. But that whole feeling changes when you see Minna use her power to start to destroy the Mirror of Twilight. Now, as sad as this moment is, and how much I kind of hated it as a child, I love this moment as an adult because it shows the true essence and what truly rooted Link and Minna's relationship together. Even when Minna destroys the mirror, as sad as that is, and I remember being very sad and honestly kind of hateful towards this moment as a kid. I loved Minna. She was basically my favorite part of the game. I love this moment because it truly shows the relationship between Link and Minna and what it was truly rooted in and what it really meant to them. Both Link and Minna, they both had motives. None of those motives really crossed between each other than the fact that they needed each other's help so that they could fulfill these goals. They helped each other, they came really close to each other, they became really, really great friends. This moment shines so much because I believe it embodies that fact, those motives, how both of them, regardless of how much they liked each other, it was all about the benefit of others that they were with each other, that this whole time it had always been a temporary arrangement. As she leaves, we know as the player that this is final, that this isn't going to happen anymore, and we're never going to see her again. This fits in thematically so well with how their relationship developed and why it came to be in the first place. To be frank, Link and Minna were just never supposed to stay together. The Twilight Realm was never supposed to be connected to Hyrule. It wasn't meant to be the way that we wanted it to be. And sometimes that's okay. Sometimes the best parts of life and the best parts of relationships and the best parts of experiences are the fact that those end. And because they end, we can enjoy what happened for what it was. It's harder to take something for granted when it's no longer there. In conclusion, if you're looking to relive that, if you're looking to rediscover that, go for it. If that's something you really want to experience again, it holds a lot of magic and it's a lot of fun to play and to go through and to watch the relationship develop and see it all end, even if it's on that super bittersweet moment. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope that that was a little bit of help to you. I know that was a dilemma that I had been having for a long time. If you would like to see more of me, I stream on Twitch Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays under basically the same name. I'll put a link in the description below, and I'll see you next time.